What is good, sixth graders? Welcome back to day number 12 of our online math series. We are looking today at another topic that's very similar to the last two we've dealt with. So we're going to look at solving and writing some multiplication equations today. In the last two lessons, we've done addition and subtraction equations. Today, we're going to convert that and try some multiplication ones. So our big focus now today is, again, as we said, we're going to write some multiplication equations that with and without word problems. We're going to try to solve and do a bunch of different things here with these now today. Okay. So here's what you've got, okay, to begin with now. This is an example of the multiplication problem we're going to start with. This should start to look pretty familiar now, right? 2x equals 10. And as we've done in the last couple times, we're going to try to isolate our variable. We're going to solve for x. We're going to figure out what that x is equal to. Remember now, when the coefficient, it's the number that's out in front of the variable, right, and the variable are right next to each other, that means we're multiplying them together. So this is really a multiplication equation. Right? 2x equals 10 means 2 times x equals 10. So the way we get to isolate that variable is instead of multiplying on the left side, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to divide by 2. Again, we're multiplying the variable by 2 on the top here. What we're going to do now to solve for x is do the opposite. We're going to divide by 2. Okay? And again, as you remember, if you do something to one side of the problem, you have to do it to the other side as well. That's why you can see I'm dividing by 2 on both sides of the equation here. Okay. Well, 2 divided by 2 on the left cancels each other out, right? So then we have isolated our variable. We're left with just the x over there. On the right side, all we have to do is figure out 10 divided by 2. Okay. Over here in the green, I've done that. I have figured out that 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5. And down in the bottom, in the box here, you can see what my x is equal to. X is equal to 5. That solves your problem right there for today. Okay. We got two of them side by side here. We'll try these out now. Again, I've got 3x equals 15 on the left, and I've got 8 equals 4x on the right. Okay. Again, as we do this, on the left side, to isolate my variable, I'm going to do the opposite of what I'm doing in the initial problem. So 3x means 3 times x. To isolate the variable, do the opposite of multiplying. So we're going to divide both sides by 3. Okay. On the right side over here, same sort of thing. I have 8 equals 4 times x. So to isolate the x, let's divide by 4 instead of multiply by 4. And to see what we've got here, again, if I divide both sides over here on the left, if I divide both sides by 3, 3 divided by 3 cancels each other out, and I'm left with just my x on the left side. Over on the right side, the right problem, I have divided both by 4. 4 divided by 4 cancels itself out. Okay, so I'm left with just my variable on the right side as well. All I have to do now is solve the problem that I'm left with on the opposite side of each equation. So over here on the problem on the left, I'm solving 15 divided by 3. The problem on the right, I'm solving 8 divided by 4. You can see what we've come up with for each one of these now. On the left side problem, equals 5 because 15 divided by 3 is equal to 5. And on the right side problem, 8 divided by 4 is equal to 2. So my x is equal to 2 there. Let's try a couple word problems here now. Here's the first one. It says, Victor and some friends split the cost of some new t-shirts. The t-shirts cost $24 and each person contributed $6. Okay, so we know how much each person pitched in to buy these t-shirts, but we don't know how many people there actually are contributing for this. Okay, so what we need to try to figure out is how many people shared the cost of all these t-shirts. Okay, so the problem we're going to set up here looks like this. 6x equals 24. Okay, the 6 represents the amount they all paid for the t-shirts. The x is how many people paid that $6. Okay, and the total is that 24. Okay, so once again, we have to try to solve for that variable. We've got to try to isolate the variable to get it all by itself. This problem now looks just like the ones that we've set up on the last couple of screens. Okay, so 6x equals 24. To isolate the variable, we're going to do the opposite of what we're doing here on the left-hand side. So 6x means 6 times x. So let's divide by 6 then instead. Okay. Again, you have to do the same thing to both sides. Over here on the left, once I do 6 divided by 6, my variable now is all by itself. And I just have to solve 24 divided by 6. Okay. That ends up equaling 4. So what does that tell me? Oh, sorry. That tells me that 4 people contributed to the purchase of these t-shirts. Okay, 4 people each threw in $6. That gives us a total of $24. Here's a tricky one now. You have one in your assignment that's kind of like this. So watch what we're going to do here. Again, the process is set up the same. Again, it's just going to be a little bit trickier because the number doesn't come out great. Okay, here's what the problem said. It says in 2004, Ken Hadway and Simon Murray walked 680 miles to the South Pole. The trip took 58 days. Suppose they traveled the same distance each day. It says write and solve a multiplication equation to find about how many miles they traveled each day. Okay. Well, the total number that they traveled is 680. We know that's going to be by itself. We just have to figure out how did they get to that 680. Okay, well, the problem tells us it took them 58 days to get there, but we don't know how many miles they went each day. But what we do know is that they traveled the same distance each day. Okay. So that means our problem sets up like this. 58 times something is going to make 680. The key part to look at in this problem, and it's going to be this way in the problem in your assignment also, is the word about. That means that our answer is not going to come out exactly right here. It's not going to be a whole number answer. So we're going to have to round our answer at the end. We just want to know about how many miles they traveled each day. Well, when you look at this one, this looks just like the problems that we've set up before. Okay? You're going to probably want a calculator to solve ones like this, and there's a couple in your assignment you'll want a calculator for also. As we do this, we need to isolate that variable. Right? That variable is going to tell us how many miles they traveled each day. So as you can see, this looks like 58 times x equals 680. So we're going to do the opposite of multiplying. We're going to divide both sides by 58. As we've done that, you can see what we have set up here. Our variable is isolated, right? We've divided both sides by 58. So the problem that we have to figure out is 680 divided by 58. If you look at this, it ends up being 11.724, and the decimal keeps going on and on forever. So what we have to do is round that answer. We just want to know about how many miles they traveled that day. So 11.724 would round up to about 12. So we're going to go with that for our answer. We'll say they traveled about 12 miles each day. Okay. Here's what your assignment looks like in your Google Classroom, or it is in your Google Classroom by the time you're watching this. 4 problems set up without any words. Okay, so just the problems like we've had before, and then 2-word problems. Make sure that you don't miss that one that's down at the bottom down here then as well. The last 2, you're giving me the equation and the answer for each one of those. Again, if you have any questions, make sure that you reach out on Google Hangouts. I'll be around there all day. That if you have questions, I can help you out there. Don't forget about your Alex. Right, Alex topic goals are due by Friday at midnight. 10 topics this week for your goal. Good luck, 6th graders.